Okay, if I remember to turn my mic on. Looks like we've got all the recording and broadcast going, Mr. Chair. Joe, 7 o'clock. You just welcome as you're ready to commence the meeting.
Okay. We're there, so let's get started. Welcome to Commission for tonight. Big crowd here. We will just jump into our agenda. Good.
We are good. That means we're working. I will cut that.
Let's just go to the first agenda. Opening and approval of the minutes from January 28th, 2021 meeting. I'll make a motion. So we get to see motion. Okay. The motion second. All in favor? Aye. Second agenda item, conditional use permit for a major home occupation B, electrical contractor at 1585 Question Parkway for R and electric.
Yeah, I'll introduce that, Mr. Chair. You summed it up with the title of this. It's a home business just off of Equestrian Parkway. And you can see it here on your screen. It's a larger property, but ultimately somewhat irrelevant. I spoke with the applicant who's here this evening, Mr. Randall, regarding his business. He's got another full-time gig, but is someone who's got some talent in the electrician trade. I was looking to be able to do it as kind of a side job. And so essentially would be doing bids and phone calls and paperwork from the home. Does have his personal vehicle that has a few tools and things in when he needs to go on site. So product and thing is not something that you will notice around the property. Seem to all fit in and be stored cleanly and appropriately there. And so, but after my conversation and understanding of the business, we were ready to recommend approval of this proposed business without the need for extra conditions. But again, they're here this evening. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about it, and I'm happy to take questions as well.
Okay. Just a quick side question. Our screens are not on video.
It would be good for them to be on so you don't have to crank your neck, right? If this messes everything up, we're going back to no screens.
Well, while you're working on that, maybe so the applicant is here. Okay, do we have any questions maybe from the commission to Lyle or to the applicant?
Okay. And then just as a point of interest, we did put up the notice in front of the property and received one phone call from a neighbor who just was curious what they were up to and didn't seem to have any concerns or input regarding the issue.
Yeah, so yeah, it sounds like there's going to be minimal, if any, impact. So no customers, no deliveries, nothing like that, right?
Correct.
No storage of materials or whatever.
Correct. There will be some materials, but nothing that can't be held in a car in the garage. So, but very little.
Okay. Well, any discussion or questions or comments or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve conditional use permit for major home occupation B electric contractor for Rodney Randall with R&M Electric on 1585 Equestrian Parkway.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. So let's start.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're all set. Let's go to the next agenda item, which is a preliminary plat for the Edge End Hollow Phase 3 Amended Subdivision at 1175 South Haight Creek Drive from Loren.
I'll again I'll again introduce that, Mr. Chair. This one's of those we've seen in recent history, but hopefully one of our more straightforward in that it doesn't require a zone change to accommodate it. The property is at the corner. I'm looking at the next turn, so I'm guessing your monitors aren't working, but it's on the corner of Haight Creek Drive and Main Street on the southwest side of the street. And it's essentially a half acre currently. I think there was some intention to originally do this as 2 lots. In my conversation with the property owner and applicant, there's already a couple of the utilities stubbed into the site. There's some more things still to be done and figured out, but the zoning in this area, it's an R18, so single family, an 8,000 square foot minimum lot size. So ultimately what that allows for is based on the acreage that they have, the frontage available on the property, just to split it essentially in half. Both lots would be consistent with what's allowed under the existing zoning. The existing home would stay on what's seen here as lot 1, where it's located, and a new home could be built towards the corner. They've provided some details with us to help us understand the buildable area on it. So with this one in particular, again, it's plenty big. Even with the corner lot and the setbacks that are imposed on that, they can get a good home on there, and seems to meet all of the, certainly for the zoning and a preliminary plat consideration, items that we would look at, and staff's ready to recommend, Planning Commission recommend approval of this preliminary plat to the council.
Okay. So there's nothing with the zone, so there's no public hearing, which we will be discussed amongst the commission. If we have any questions, looks like the applicant's here. So what's everyone think?
Yeah, currently the full lot has curb, gutter, sidewalk, asphalt, so it wouldn't change anything to the right of way, other than if we've got to dig for a utility and patch it back up, but it's set and ready to go. There is sidewalk along Main Street in this particular section. It's a bit of a steep lot. There's a lot of elevation change. So it's almost like a bowl, but you can still build in those areas and ways to do that. So
this one is pretty straightforward as well, I think. Yeah, ready for a motion? Go for it.
I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for the all over subdivision.
We're just recommending.
correct.
Okay, motion and a second. Garrett, second. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That one was straightforward as well. Let's go to the next agenda item, which is a call to the public. All one of you. I'm assuming you're Mr. Park. You can come up if you'd like to, or you can stay in the crowd. Okay. So let's go to reports, correspondence, or calendar.
I may just make a note probably for Mr. Clark, and we'll touch base after. Excuse me. So that preliminary plat will move forward to the city council. Likely it would be on there. They've asked that we give some space between their meetings, so I'm probably looking at February the 4th. If you would like, March the 4th, to note that. And again, we've begun some review on even the final plat, so it won't be long after, and that's back before the commission on that particular project. Calendar items, other than that, we'll continue with our normal meeting schedule this month. I don't think we have any conflicts or holidays around the 25th to work around, so we'll keep 2-week catch again at that time. And then I got word that the commission was interested in a little update on the status of our general plan process. And so I can give you a brief report on that. And if you've got additional questions, we don't have to stay all night, but probably have time to chat about that.
Yeah.
In short, as you're aware, and appreciate it, we sent out some homework to you recently with the questionnaire that we're moving forward to with Y2 Analytics is helping us get a statistically valid response to some questions. And we received feedback from this commission, the council, and the steering committee of that group. And that's been met and looked over just recently. So they expect, I think Tuesday of this coming week, that they're going to have that wrapped up, all the input vetted through and in place. And what's interesting on this is we've asked, how can we help to get this distributed? So we've contributed to helping them with some list and contact information, but they take it all on themselves. So the city won't be doing any outreach other than to say, hey, if you get a call, this is legitimate part of the process that we're up to. But that's part of their process of randomly selecting people within certain spectrums or demographics that meet the targets they're trying to go after. And so they have to be selective about who they go after. And they can. So I think a lot of it will be via emails that they'll reach out based off the list we have. But they have phone numbers. They can go knock on doors if they need to. But yeah, the group is called Y2 Analytics. And so I think Commissioner Barris can correct me on that. But again, they'll look at numbers, have some importance. So it's not to say they won't go after numbers, but it's a representative sample that they need to get the information from. So that's why they are selective more so about who gets it. And the questions, they'll have specific addresses as far as who's answered them. And they're going to be a lot more location based, demographic based. They're going to know who's saying what within the community regarding those. They randomize the questions on how they're presented to people so that the results aren't tainted by people like me when I take a test that just pick A or something to that effect. So they think that'll be about 2 weeks from when they get started. So if they're starting next week sometime, we're roughly 3 weeks out from hopefully when we see those results and some of that information start really feeding back. And based on that will really trigger the next steps of that plan, right? So we'll use that in conjunction with some of the input we've already received. We know it wasn't sufficient, but it still has some value to it, and piece all that together to see how we move forward on creating probably a preferred scenario and alternative that we can really dive into and help us understand what people want to see in Kaysville and how to represent that in the plan. And I think the real hard homework will probably be to come afterwards, in particular when we're doing all of our ordinances to help make that happen. So well, I would say yes, but no. So of course, originally in their scope, we would have been done by now with the entire process. And rightfully so, the pandemic slowed things down, and how we had to do things, the type of results we've got has added this other step to it. So Landmark Design, I've got to think of which consultant's doing which, is the head consultant helping us with our general plan. And they've just been very open to the reality of today and being adjustable with that scope. So we don't want it to drag out forever. It would be great to have that information so we can begin implementing it and moving forward with the next steps. But I could see it being easily a few more months to go through it, wrap up the plan, get it adopted. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 4 or 5 months to wrap that up for the entire process. They say they'll have it all collected within about 2 weeks. I don't know what type of time frame it takes to process it all, but I think the way they collect it is primarily through digital type surveys. So I think that data comes in just as fast as they can get it. And they'll, yeah.
More and I think better data. So
Yeah, it's interesting to hear their input, and we appreciate the comments that have been submitted. And I think that was extremely helpful. And to have this group that's expert in how to answer a question and how to ask and how to administer these, we ought to expect much better input. And as you are aware, it's a little bit limited on what we're getting after with this, on the approach that we took as to what's land use specific items that we're able to do. But hopefully they pull at the heart of the key issues that'll raise that for us. So.
You know, story here, talking to a fellow who is we were both talking about their communities. We are. But he's feels like planning and work council. So don't bother too much with all that stuff. Just get us your recommendations.
Yeah, we ran the board and then kind of sideways.
Well, they don't really want to even hear what the community.
Yeah.
They just want to go forward with what they've got. Yeah.
Once we went for approval, we got there 18 months later, where the community was like, you know, we don't want that.
Because everybody knows when you go vote in municipal elections, you know, the general plan and land use is the foremost thing in your mind. That's good. Right. People are like, what's zoning and what's land use?
Actually, two big drivers in municipal elections. Taxes.
Okay.
And land.
Okay.
Two big drivers.
That's interesting. I would guess, maybe I'm wrong, that it's, you know, I mean, one that comes to mind as I've used in other examples is Jim Huffer, right? So that's a land use thing that brings, maybe brought people to the polls. But in general, I would be surprised if that brings people to the polls. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah. And I am glad, though, to back to your point, though, that it seems like we try to do it right here.
Yeah.
Right is a relative term.
I'll tell you what happened. And we were looking at really in the general plan, changing the agricultural ordinance. It was the county. We ended up in the high school with, well, it was the county 10,000, but the high school with 900 people.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking we were taking away their agricultural rights. And it was simply a protection zone. And people in the city showed up, not realizing it was outside the city. So people get confused as to what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
And it comes down to communication.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have the vision of what you're doing, but you've got to communicate that vision through. Perfect or better, because ultimately when people come back and they don't want to hold up those rights.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thanks for that. Wow.
Yeah, and maybe one more item of interest. So I forget if it's been mentioned to this group or not, but when we embarked on this general plan process, one of the group members that's working specifically on the transportation component, Tim Sullivan is the consultant. I apologize, I forget give him a plug if I remember his firm off the top of my head, but actually was successful in coordinating with UDOT on getting us additional funding beyond what we've already received in grants for this, specific to studying Main Street and some traffic and patterns. So we got about, I think it's roughly a $30,000 grant through CMAQ funds, where next week we're just kind of barely beginning to chalk together with UDOT to even start the process. But hopefully also over the next few months, we'll see some interesting ideas and concepts and things that we worked hand in hand with UDOT on, and what could be done on Main Street, that something that we want also, as well as something that they're find acceptable where it's their road. Yeah, that's a big piece, right? So parking, speed limits, crossings, you name it, landscaping and so forth. Yeah, so this next week is going to be kind of the first, okay, we've received it. So the first time we'll be sitting down at the table talking about it. We can keep you in the loop for sure. Anyone interested in it?
If you look at 300 see them because of the way it's situated planters on both sides of the road. So it's a beautiful concept, it's an avenue concept. It's you know, until you don't see the biker because they got the planter strip here and the bike lane on the other side. So they're economizing lane to put biking. But if you don't think about that design structure, and that's similar here, if you're looking at usage and stuff. Anything there needs to be sort of all some thought on that because ultimately you want a functional downtown that have some beauty and stuff that doesn't have a road to it, but also safe.
So keep your ideas, start, if you don't already have some, start making some, because yeah, this could be fun. And the general plan will be important, but I'm really excited to, to do this. It's for a long time, I think we have an iconic and beautiful Main Street, but that's got a lot of potential too, to get even better. So, and where the state controls so much of that, it's a unique serendipitous opportunity that, this consultant, was good to go out and help us out with on going above and beyond what we probably would have got otherwise out of this general plan on, really looking at this area. So yeah, we'll keep you in the loop on that. It sounds like there's some interest, but just so you know, it's starting and things to watch out for.
Thank you, Lyle. I think we are at the end of the line. We want to adjourn. Yeah. Then we want to do it officially, I guess.
So
Okay.
we've got hospital before the second grade, which is $1,000